What is going on, everybody? So it is Sunday afternoon here. I've been sitting here kind of rereading over some stats, looking at some things, reading some things. Just finally it's time to start getting down to the review here. So just on the week, minus 113. Accuracy is relatively the same, win rate's the same. My average winner this week was really small compared to usually however it is, and the average loss is usually bigger than however it usually is. I'm not really sure exactly what went wrong in here, but my winners clearly, the biggest one I only had was only 126, and I would consider a good winner at least $200. So definitely got to dig in to see exactly what went wrong there. Shares traded a little lower. I feel like I didn't trade as much. I didn't really overtrade because the week, obviously here, taking 12 more trades, overtrading seemed to be a little bit of an issue. So I wanted to make sure this week that was something that I was thinking about continuously there. Commission's kind of low, I guess. Only down 1R on the week. I'm trading good and bad. I'm trading good in the sense that I'm barely losing any money, but I'm trading bad in the sense that I am still losing money. I'm not trading good enough to dig myself out of those holes that I'm making for myself. So I just want to get started here. So the first trade I took was J&J, symmetrical triangle, S&B consolidation. Let's see. Here's a screenshot. Not a terrible looking setup. I definitely got underneath. Took its time to get there, but I'm exiting up around VWAP. What do I do for compliance? Compliance. Gave myself a 1 on compliance. It feels kind of weird though looking at it, because I don't know why exactly I'm getting out all the way up here at a spot that should be holding. So let's see. Yeah, that's right, I messed up this video recording it. Alright, so clearly coming to the point of the triangle here. I need to read the price action, so we got a big little steep drop off here, slowly creeping back up above VWAP. Just kind of looks like it's starting to roll over. We're just getting underneath, getting to the point of the triangle. Definitely not a bad looking situation here. Red on the day. Don't exactly remember why I was trading Johnson & Johnson though. I actually wrote that they beat their earnings. Either way, it's looking pretty decent here. I think the thing that would really set the trade off, obviously, is always seeing those failed pushes higher to see if anything, there's any continuation from it or not. And if there's not, then I got a pretty solid entry there. Alright, so I'm in at 40. Tape didn't explode, nothing super special there. So right off the bat, you can already tell that I'm not in the great trade. Price is moving a little bit, but always expecting volume to come in, and if volume's not coming in, then I could be in trouble. Alright, so I am kind of syncing with the SPY here. Maybe a little correlation, not much, but it certainly does look like it would help. Alright, so we're getting some moves here, but we're really just not seeing a lot of action on the tape or anything. Alright, so then at this point I need to be thinking, so I'm taking 500 shares at 40, stop loss definitely at 60. I definitely, it's a warning sign, but it's only one, and the trade hasn't given me any reason to think that it's absolutely going to turn around and be a complete and total failure. So in that situation, I have to be okay with the pullback retest, because if it does continue to keep holding lower, because we've been making so here's first high, lower high, failing around the 70, lower high, lower high. It's making somewhat decent moves. What was that? Oh, I put my new stop loss up here. I guess I'm not sticking with it. I still think it's too early to put in a stop loss though. Just gotta keep the same one. Oh, oh, come on. I gotta go back to that. No way, man. There's no way. It's just too early to get out of that trade. I mean, I can just tell just by looking at the past, you know, each and every move that it's taken, you know, it's taken a while. I mean, this is just the beginning of the trade, you know. I really wish I had more than this. I want to see what it did. I mean, regardless, I mean, it still made a new low, still failing to make a new high. I mean, absolutely could have kept going. I have to go back and look at it. So I believe that was this day right here. I mean, I very most definitely would have been stuck in this thing for a while. So I mean, that push, put lower, a little sideways, but you know, this is still the low. You gotta respect the low. Wow, I might have had to be in that thing for forever. Either way, I mean, it only, sorry, that was 54, now it's 55, 56, but it's still failing. I don't know, that's kind of that's a tough trade to be able to sit there and hold out through all of that. But once it lost it, very clear winner there. I don't know, that's kind of a weird one. I think that my exit was definitely too early on that. I don't know why I keep giving myself. So what is that? Waited too long, exiting when I should have held. Warning signs, failed to re-enter. If I had a clear spot. I just think I should have stayed in. I just don't see it. Alright, not gonna look at screenshots because I feel like that just kind of spoils it almost. So then we got PG, trap trader gap and go trade for a solid win. Our PG was a really good one. So the new thing that I'm wanting to experiment with coming up this week is with these gap and go trades. So clearly stuck in a range here, and you know, whenever it's gap up, I'm always looking for a continuation with the gap. So I'm looking for a gap and go scenario. So it becomes a trap trader scenario because we break down out of this range, but then immediately get bought back up, start closing above 94 again. So what I'm wanting to start doing is actually buying on the failed breakdown, and then possibly adding again as it gets back above. Just kind of another way to improve, because I'm just, you know, it's exactly like one of my other strategies. It just occurs in the first 5-10 minutes of the day. But I am looking to take 250 long, stop around 94, so I'm expecting stop loss to be about 40 cents away, so 250 is right on it. And we just get a massive move right from the beginning of this. Boom, out at 82. That's definitely fine. I mean, the gap and go trades are never supposed to be a trade where I'm holding on for forever. But if I remember right, this thing just kept going and going and going. Just taking off. It's an interesting setup. Alright, so I'm looking at UTX. So UTX, just an unusual buyer-seller here. That's it. One on compliance on it, and on the next one, but not on this ad here. I gave myself a 10, which is, should have added at clear spot. So this trade, trade was a winner, but I failed to add somewhere. All right, let's see. So must be a hidden buyer here at this 118. Obviously try and get a short underneath. Price action's looking alright here. I mean, got above, failed to get there, closed underneath, view out. We ran into the buyer. Buyer's kind of holding it up a little bit. Get back above, starts rolling back over to get underneath. Moving averages are on top of price here. Definitely not a bad trade. Yeah, clearly just taking it. So I got filled at 91. Not a huge sell-off or anything. Okay, so this is where I combined two entries into one. So I took a loss on the hidden buyer seller, but ultimately I'm thinking that this thing can go lower. It's good volume on that breakdown, just no follow through on the candle. So still got still about $100 worth of risk too. Just gotta wait and see how it plays out. Can't quite tell if there's another hidden buyer just underneath. Tried to push. Volume is definitely growing underneath VWAP, so I mean it looks fantastic. It looks great here, but I don't want to add anything yet because it hasn't really given me a new stop loss. So this little test above VWAP. So at this point I should be thinking that potentially this is my new stop loss that it's giving me. Now at this point, I need to be starting to get a little worried. So we failed breaking down, and we just had a big green candle closing back above VWAP. So the bulls have reclaimed the VWAP. See the bid stepping down, now stepping up. It's totally dead here. Super slow. So, I mean, there's a few ways to interpret what's happening. So we just had a nice initial push higher, but we're having a really slow pullback. So does that mean that this initial push is failing, or does that mean that the initial push was good and we are failing to move lower again? I think overall it was bearish from the beginning of my trade, so in order for me to change that belief, I mean, it's got to prove to me that it's not moving any higher. And it's not moving any higher, so I think I'm still in this. Clear stop loss at 50 now. I think it has certainly given me plenty of time to test up above that 50 to use it as a stop loss. So that might have been a place to add there too. Back at the 118. Hopefully he's not there anymore. Alright, so that was a failed attempt to hold above VWAP. It was very low volume above it. And he's there again. So he's picking up speed, you know. Yeah, so I short underneath him again. I don't think that's a bad ad, not at all. Because I had just drawn that triangle too. So now we're also looking for a breakdown from the triangle. Decent push there, a little pop. It didn't get filled. I mean, it looks super solid right now, so I do add again there. I think that's pretty good. My new stop loss is up by that 55, definitely fine. I'm definitely a little big right now. I'm risking about 60 cents here, and I'm short 250 shares, so I'm risking about 150 bucks here. But I mean, we are definitely still looking weak here. He's still there. It's very strange. Each time we get underneath him, we fail to move lower, and then we get back above 118, and then he shows up again. Now it's in a tricky spot. Now is when I need to start worrying about these warning signs. But still gotta give it the chance. I mean, there's just not enough to throw me completely off of this yet. I mean, that's all it takes is one candle to give you a warning sign, then the other candle to completely disregard that warning sign. So we just tested above VWAP, completely failed right back down on 118. I think this is what I was talking about whenever I said I missed the spot to add here. You know, if anything, maybe I could add on the breakdown from the 117.80. The volume pattern's interesting. Each green candle is a little bit bigger than the reds, but the greens aren't going anywhere. So it's telling me bulls are trying to move it up, but they're just not getting anywhere. So it just looks weaker and weaker. Yeah, I think this is where I should add again. I should add again and change my stop loss to that spot. Because again, we're getting close to this triangle breakdown. So if we get back underneath that 117.96 or something, it was like whatever that recent little low is right here. Try and get a position under that. Put your stop loss in. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to the apex of all this stuff, so something should be happening. Something does happen. Get a nice little breakdown. Great volume there. Take a little bit off on the initial push. I think my issue with this one was my profit target is just light years away here. I mean, I got like $1 until any kind of support comes in. But if I remember right, I think I just took everything off of this trade way too early. I mean, that is just perfect there. It's super good. And I think it was this day that I started telling myself I need to hold on to my trades more to my actual profit target. And get another nice drop. I mean, it just keeps going. Alright, so I want to watch this actually. So this is the initial drop. Just had a nice drop. And then this whole minute here is just like a 1 minute consolidation candle. So what happens here that tells me it doesn't want to even test higher? A little bit of buying there. A little bit of selling right after. More selling. A little buying again up to the 70s. But there's just nothing there. No one's hitting the ask. Yeah, it's like nobody's buying right now. And if nobody's buying, there's only one way to go. I've seen some more there. That must have been the final attempt. Yeah, I just take off. I'm taking off too much too early, I think. I mean, that's 150 shares I just gave up. And I mean, we're not hitting any support. And that's something that I've been noticing about my trades too, is I'm just taking off way too early for really no other reason, just to take off because I'm profitable. And I'm absolutely giving up too much money because of it. I mean, look at that. That's a super solid move, and we just now hit some point that should be acting as support. UTX, I had 117.50. Alright, fine. Maybe there is something. But 117.50 didn't come into play at all earlier in the day, so it only acts as support if it acts as support. Then I just had SYF here. So definitely should have added, definitely should have held on some more too. I gave myself a 1 on that too, didn't I? SYF, combination of everything here. Alright, so SYF, what did I give myself? Gave myself an 8 on it. Incorrect risk management. Something happened here. I lost my... So initially, obviously not a great sign here. We had this breakdown as the moving average is coming up above, and it failed. Got bought back up, right back into VWAP again. It's just kind of stuck here. Yeah, I'm talking about the bounces here. Each time it looks like it's getting ready to drop, and then it just gets bought right back up. So I take my chances on this one here. Only 50 shares. No, just kidding. 650 shares. So I was full size from the start on this one. Put my stop loss at 53. It's fine. I mean, the trade isn't super terrible here, but at the same time, it's not super spectacular either, because it's had a bunch of attempts to try and break down here, and we're just not. I mean, this is another situation where there's a trade on the opposite end of this too. You know, I stop out, go long. I mean, if we aren't going to keep going lower, then there's only one place to go. Right now, I'm just kind of stuck here. I try not to be as biased as I can whenever I do these reviews, and I want to tell myself that I should be just getting out of this trade and enter back in. Yeah, the tape is going crazy right now. Stuff on both. I mean, it's not going to kill me to get out of this thing and just back in on a break underneath that range in the triangle. But I stuck with an early entry, and I mean, it's not a really good early entry either, which is the big problem. I got it on the breakdown, not around VWAP or anything. Seen hidden sellers. I mean, I've seen both. I've seen hidden sellers and hidden buyers. That's even more of a reason to get out of this thing before I get squeezed and just look for a re-entry. Because there's no super confirming bullish or bearish signals. I mean, if I'm seeing hidden buyers and sellers, well, that just negates each other. I mean, ultimately it looks bearish just because it's underneath VWAP. But at this point, that's not reason enough to be sitting here and holding for forever just in the hopes that we break down. Because, I mean, same situation, you know, there's a bunch of longs, or a bunch of shorts, just get squeezed on a little pop-up. Alright, so that's a good sign. But what does it do afterwards? It gets bought back up. So that is an absolute warning sign. That was I know it only touched that 37 again. So it didn't break underneath the range. Broke out of the triangle, but not underneath the range. And you know, just like I'm saying, if we're not going to go up, we're going to go down. But if we're not going to go down, we're going to go up. So what do? I should be out of this thing. Should have been out of it a while ago. Put my order in back underneath that 36. Might have never gotten in. Look at the volume candles too. Volume candles on that breakdown moved up, but the candle's just not bearish. So I got out at 51. I got out in front of my stop loss from a price that should be holding, and if I remember right, it turns right back around. Obviously sets up for another triangle. So then it does break down, touches that 37 again. So yeah, it just took forever, but that's what I'm talking about. Once it finally gets underneath that 36, then I'm in. Comes back to the 40 for a failed retest, and then just boom, drops right about towards low of day. And if I'm fast enough, take some off. Yeah, should have just poorly managed. There's no point in getting out a penny in front of my stop loss, especially if it's a spot that's supposed to be holding. I think the better call was to just get out and put in that order so I get filled away over there, because it's set up for triangle after triangle. Alright, so then we got the next day. So first was BABA, symmetrical triangle, ABCD pattern, the first of the year, and a trap trader. So I gave myself a 5 on the compliance. Failed to re-enter. Yes, that's right. This was a pretty bad one. It was fantastic looking, and I just blew it. So initially, pretty strong push here. BABA and mainly BABA, pretty strong relative to everything else here at the open. So definitely looking for some more continuing strength, especially if the SPY starts turning around and helping me out. I know I pull it up eventually, but either way, come back to view up once for a retest. Kind of chopping around, getting stuck about this 154 area. Pulling back, and we're just kind of getting tighter and tighter here, getting ready for one move one way or the other. So right here is ultimately where it either needs to break down and fail and get bought back up and I can get in, or if it just breaks down and goes back to view up and the trade's completely dead. So we kind of had a little mini breakdown there, got down to 25, and it's bought back up, and I'm in on it. So that was enough for me to get into it. So the SPY actually just had this huge drop down, lost view app completely, and it's bouncing up higher. But during that big drop down, BABA had a chance for that breakdown to happen, and it didn't. I think that was a pretty good entry there. Best trades always work immediately. SPY has come back towards view app, and the problem, I did pretty well managing in this trade, I guess. Problem at this point is the SPY actually just gave me a really bearish signal. BABA on the other hand didn't, but SPY is approaching a level view app where it should be turning down from and headed lower, and since BABA just gave me that huge spike right all the way up to where the breakout point is around 154, It's terrible how long I'm waiting to do this. I hate that. Waited way too long to get out of that. I should have just gotten out of it because my plan came in, and for some reason I was just waiting to see if it was going to break out or not, and it pulled off a little bit. That's fine, but my plan was to just get out for now because the SPY looks like it's getting ready to make a big downturn here. No matter how bullish BABA looks, that's fine. I'm going to take off in front of it because obviously we don't know if it's going to end up breaking or not, and look to get back in on a break above. So then it does end up, SPY does end up doing what I think it should do and pulls off, and BABA ends up doing the same thing. But trade's still not dead. I mean, that 154 is still coming into play, ends up making another triangle here, and then we get that breakout higher. But the problem is I'm short the SPY, and if I'm going long BABA, I feel like that just completely, it's like a conflict of interest almost, if I'm hoping for one stock to go up while I'm hoping for the main index to go down. Either way, my chance was there. I mean, it came right back up. Really low volume, though. I mean, this thing just set up picture perfect for a move. So there's volume coming in. I mean, the tape's just exploding. You know that it's a pretty solid move after you see that. I mean, forget the SPY trade. The SPY was just dumb. So that was what I was talking about, the SPY trade. Either way, I was looking for a short on the SPY here because this 263.40 level was a really big level. Since we just came back underneath, I thought this might be the turning point. Stop loss at high day on the SPY trade. I don't know, I'm not done talking about BABA yet though. I'll go back to it. Just saw it. What the heck? I know, I just saw it. Where was it? There it is. Yeah, BABA. Blasted off. Look at how perfectly it held that 154. I mean, just... I can't believe I didn't take that trade. Just beautiful. Anyway, the SPY trade. So the SPY ends up stopping me out on that first one. And I look for another re-entry somewhere else. So just looking at it here, I mean, we had so many bearish signals, this huge drop-off, big drop-off. Thought I might see the same thing today. We're at the top end of this triangle here. 264 being pretty big level, just running all the way back here. You can see it's got plenty of resistance up above. Then I got that BMY trade. I was looking for that short scalp here. Figured that 50 just kept holding it up higher and higher. Figured if after all these longs are in here, they're just looking for a new place to get out. They must have just gotten out around here because after we got that breakdown, there was just nothing. So obviously tons of red hitting the tape. Has a decent little drop. I'm in the trade for 700 shares. See a little bit of buying there. A little more buying. It just comes back. Just wasn't as big of a steep sell-off as I thought we would see, so I just ended up taking a super tiny win on it. So then SPY ends up reaching around 264 here. MKC, I did take that trade, right? Not yet, I guess. And there's the MKC one. So the MKC was just a flat-out bad trade. There was just no point in me taking that. Pretty sure I gave myself a 9 on that one. A 9 just for a bad trade. Just didn't respect the price action. Super strong open, just completely curled over, came back under, bounced, lost it again, slowly kind of coming back here. Had a little fake push higher, didn't reach as high this time, failed push lower here, and then it came back up again, and I'm entering in on the short side. I mean, if it fails moving higher up here, that's the short signal. I just kind of entered in front of everything. I mean, it just comes up and stops me out. There was no trade there, and I just completely went for it, and I shouldn't have. So a SPY trade this day actually worked out really well, but my entries on it weren't that great. So reached that 264.20, came back underneath, started consolidating, almost like a head and shoulders pattern here, and I just came underneath and lost it. So we don't have any failed pushes higher here. So I think I was looking at just the breakdown here underneath this recent range. Came back underneath VWAP, kind of stuttering around again. This was kind of a dumb situation. I thought this was actually initially a really good start to that entry. So failed 2 attempts, it gets above VWAP, and it starts coming back underneath and looking like it's getting ready to make another drop lower, and just completely faked me out. Started moving a little higher again. Oh, come on. Moved higher a little again, but it failed. I mean, you could see early in the day this 263.60, close to high day here. Bounced from it here, became good support, and then if I'm in a good trade, good support becomes good resistance. Bounced from it twice. Looked to enter in on another break underneath the VWAP here, and I got it, and we just sold off pretty hard. So at that point I was short 300. I take a little bit off in front of it. We're just underneath this range, hitting the 200 here. I think it was a little premature. I don't think I should have taken that. I think I just should have stuck with my profit target at 262.70 here and just dealt with it. I mean, the trade ends up really bouncing around. I mean, it came within pennies of hitting that 70, but I didn't take anything off. And then we get this really, I mean, the trade's still not dead. At this point, still not dead, but this is where things got a little weird. So obviously we got the trend line coming down on it. It's kind of making like a giant triangle. And I just really don't know what happened. We just absolutely blew up on the tape. I mean, we had this little push above into this triangle, and then things just exploded. You see this volume candle was like the highest on the day. It just came out of nowhere. So it ended up trying to go higher, I mean somewhat out of this range here, and then it also tried to go lower out of this range here, and it just ended up making a giant doji. And then at this point we just kind of creep a little closer and closer up to this point, and I'm too attached to this trade. I think that was the big problem. For some reason, I wanted to give it a chance all the way back up to this 60 again. I mean, regardless of how bullish it looks at this point, because it's had a chance to go lower right here. I'm just seeing all this volume, and we're kind of getting tighter and tighter to the upside of this range here. And I should have made my stop loss around this 30, 35-ish, and the tick was the other huge bullish indicator here. So ticks fail to make new lows each time here, and it's starting to actually step up here, make a new high here. Hadn't made a new high here yet, but it also hadn't made a new low. So I mean, the signs are there; they're against me. But I wanted to be, I don't know. I wanted it to be a mental stop, just in case it was going to be a fake breakout higher, and it just wasn't. It was pretty solid, and as good as this trade was, I mean, I was up like, I don't know, pretty good on the trade, maybe about $200. Yeah, I'm just waiting to see if it's failing. It's just not. I mean, the time to get out's right here, really. There's no point in letting it go all the way to that 60 and then getting out. Again, another just bad trade management situation where I'm getting out a penny right in front of the spot that it should be holding from. I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with getting out and just re-entering if it sets up again. Definitely pretty upsetting though, because to be this profitable and to be this close to your profit target, I mean, I didn't want to be taking it off too early, I guess. I don't know. Greed just took over. It did, and it completely blinded my thinking process, and I paid for it. That's what you get. Just want to see, because I know I was up a pretty good amount on that trade too. So is that SPY? That's up 84. I mean, I took this one off immediately, but it's about $150 on the trade. So I mean, it really wasn't not a bad trade at all. Just too bad what happened, really. So next day was CL. CL was a great win too. So CL making just a really nice bull flag here right at the open. It is low volume. Had to keep that in mind, but I mean, I loved what it was making, so I went for it. This typical opening range play. Orders in. Get ticked in there. Doesn't fail to make a new high a day. But I know you see each candle is just holding higher, so it just looks like it's going to be pretty good. This is a spot where I think I could have probably added. I think I should have added after that point on a high a day breakout, because we just attempted to come down and it just completely failed and got bought right back up. Just want to watch that. Watch it on the tape. Alright, so it gets a little bit of selling there. A little more down to the 30s. People just aren't there. They're not hitting the bid, you know. So I guess it was a little weaker. Just got bought back up right away. Get a nice little takeoff point here. Need at least 30 cents out of it. Oh, that was just huge. Great looking candle here. Another failed attempt to break lower. Bought back up. Closed above. I mean, the volume looks just fantastic. I definitely think I should have added to this trade. So I'm at 57, so I need about 87. So there's about, yeah, there it is right there. 89.96. Just a super great trade, really. So I ended up holding that 50 though. I'm holding that 50 for as long as I can, really. It's too bad what happened on it too. I mean, there's a bunch of setups in here, but nothing really just clicked for me well enough. So I closed out of that CL trade. I think I'm watching it on another chart because I was too busy watching Intel or something. Oh, I'll probably go to it at the end of the video or something. Yeah, it just had this really nice run up, and then I wanted to make my close a close below the 90 MA, but I've never had a trade where I've done that this early in the day, and I'm wondering, that's just, I mean, that has to be all the longs just taking their profits. So I mean, maybe I should have started expecting something like this, you know, in these first two candles here, because we hadn't had a situation this entire run up where we've had two back-to-back red candles and then everything just completely sold off there. I mean, it's almost like a capitulation volume here too. I don't know, the warning signs might have been there, but stuck to the plan. It's just what happens. Alright, so ABBV. ABBV was pretty much a mess. So obviously, really weak open. Starting to get stuck around 80 and 80-20. So it's just a big combination of things here, really. So the initial loss, so I got an 8, I got a 4. I need to write these things down so I don't have to keep scrolling up. So I have an ignored warning signs and an incorrect risk management. So incorrect risk management in the first loss, which it absolutely was. So I was trying to look at the stock for a short, or long actually, thinking that there would be a good short squeeze. It's had plenty of time to just gather up people trying to go short, but it's interesting now that I think about this, because there's a hidden buyer here. So if the buyer is buying everything down by 80, maybe the shorts are already getting out in front of him because they don't think they're going to go any lower. So that means, so I'm pretty sure that means that there's not as many shorts in this as I thought there would be. If anything, everybody's waiting to get underneath that guy to see what would happen. So we do get this failed breakdown, and it comes back up, I'm still thinking about it. So I put my order in, and I'm paying attention to the 2-minute chart, and I'm wanting to switch it back, but for some reason I just completely froze on this, and I just didn't get out. I waited till it came all the way back down to get out of this thing again at pennies in front of a level that should be holding, because obviously that hidden buyer is still there. So clearly that loss should have been halved at least. But now I start thinking that there could be a good short in here if we can get underneath that buyer. So I'm short 400 shares again after we get another little failed push higher here. I mean, it's not a terrible trade. It's just I know what I'm trading right in front of. So it's like, I don't know. It's like I'm trading on hope. Trading that we're trying to get underneath this buyer down here at this 80. Either way, I figured after that trigger point, it's a trap trader scenario. If we don't want to go higher, we must want to go lower, but we're not going to go any lower until this buyer's gone. So then at this point, we got that triangle coming in, and this is when I should start thinking about warning signs. Because, I mean, the buyer's still there. I mean, we just failed breakdown out of a triangle. There's no sense in me holding on to this thing for forever. So I do get out. Definitely good on me there. Just get out and look to get in back under him. Sits up for another triangle. Another little failed push higher out of the triangle. And then we get that short. We get underneath him pretty well, too. I think that got somewhat into the 80s finally. Pretty good volume, too. But then just that. We're right back in the range again. And that buyer, that kind of freaked me out, too. I don't know. I think this is another warning sign scenario. Again, where just get out. Just do it. Just get out or you're going to regret it. Get out and put in the order underneath. I mean, at the absolute worst, you're only going to lose a couple pennies. But what is a couple pennies compared to an entire full stop loss? I definitely need to be thinking about getting out of losing trades a lot faster. And it's just going sideways and sideways and sideways, and then finally paid the price for it, and trying to see, yeah, I got out on the spike above, so that's what you get. The video was a little disappointing too. It's just a little tricky to read, and I think that's really what threw me off here. So huge sell-off at the open, recovered quite nicely, kind of bounced around. Big sell-off here again. The first pullback that you see with 2 red candles in a row, just kind of a continuation from the open too. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. Attempted recovery, just really slow struggle, and starts rolling over. One more final push higher, then it lost it. So it did get above this range here towards this 155, and it just failed, and it absolutely tanked from that point. So I was thinking that there could be some more continuation down here. So it set up for a new triangle, found a bottom trendline triangle, came up to view app, kind of bounced around, looks like it recovered view app, and then it starts holding higher above. But we get this failed push out higher. It's kind of like leaking out right now. I mean, it's if I redraw this, it looks like this is actually breaking out from it. So I mean, it really doesn't look that bad. So I'm waiting for this thing to get back underneath 154 because it's giving me another little... Yeah, that definitely would have broken out higher, and it came back under it. So I'm short 250 shares as it gets back underneath that whole number. Stop loss about 40 cents. I mean, it's at the top end of the triangle. Decent little push, but nothing to brag about. Gets bought back up right away, and we're stuck above the whole number again. And volume's not anything to brag about. I got my stop loss in. I just don't see it, you know. I just don't see why there's a really solid reason that this short wouldn't have worked. But I mean, I guess, you know, at the same time that this is a failed breakout higher, this could be looked at as a failed breakout lower, and we're still above VWAP with 9, the 20 curling up on it. 50 is on top of it, still pushing it down. But I'm curious about what the SPY was doing. So right at the point of my loss, SPY is at 286. So yeah, I mean, the SPY was sideways this entire time. I don't know. It's just kind of it's a tricky trade, I guess. It's definitely a B setup. It's not an A because it's above VWAP. Gave it a B in a short. I said 8, incorrect risk management. What did I do wrong with there? Incorrect risk management. Why? So there's NVIDIA. That was my point of loss. I don't know. I don't think incorrect risk management is the right call there. If anything, it's a FOMO trade. Waited too long, lost profit, exiting when I should have held. No, I definitely should have exited. Ignore warning signs? Not really. Failed to re-enter? Nah, thinking too much. FOMO. Bad adjustment of stop loss. I don't think so. I don't think that's the right call there. Did not respect price action. No, there was definitely a solid chance for this trade to work out still. I think I'm gonna stick with FOMO though, because it's not that I didn't respect the price action. It's not that I managed my stop loss incorrectly. It's not that I exited when I shouldn't have. But it's just not an A+ setup. And I think after some more confirmation here, I could have made different trading choices, because the ideal short is always going to be underneath VWAP. It's usually never on top of VWAP. Yeah, it's a good entry, but is it a good trade? No, not necessarily. So I'm going to give myself a FOMO on that one. Was that 7? Alright, then we got all the Netflix trades. These ones were wonderful. Alright, so Netflix initially had consolidated, it just made a giant bull flag. Had a really nice run up right at the open, just kind of went sideways. Failed breakdown, bought back up, kind of going sideways, holding above this 333.53. Definitely a really solid sign. Great volume going into this breakout here too. So we got this breakout, got a little pullback in, coming to retest all this junk. With the SPY, it looks like. So then the SPY gets a little failed breakdown. Looks like Netflix is doing the same thing here. So I enter in long 100 shares here. Stop loss more than likely about 50. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. Just you know, if it fails, completely fine. But from the moment of my entry, it looked like a very good entry. Stops 55. 5-minute chart. It's about to close here, actually. It closes about that 15. So it's not the greatest. But either way, I mean, we're not going lower, so we're still trying to hold. Making a couple of dojis here, big dojis. One more attempt, still not breaking underneath these lows here. It's not It's not failing. So this was the weird part. So the SPY kind of struggling. The SPY looks like it's getting ready to drop actually. Netflix kind of doing the same thing. I mean, it could absolutely fail. It could absolutely go higher. It's like a micro triangle here. But it gets a little pop up. Definitely telling me that we're still in the right situation here. So I add into this. I just made a bunch of mistakes here. There's no real reason to just go over it. I clicked on the wrong buttons and I got my order entries windows mixed up, so I ended up placing a stop limit on a stop, which means I placed a limit on a stop, which means it's just gonna get me in no matter what. The market has to change whenever you're with Lightspeed. So I'm entering in. I'm trying to get a limit at that 27. So I'm trying to catch close to the bid because I don't want to be paying the offer. And then I just completely butcher it. I just accidentally get out of the whole thing. It's just dumb. But either way, the trade still looks like it's pretty good. So then I'm trying to catch it again, trying to get filled at 15. Then it starts leaving me, and then I'm getting real pissed. So the SPY just had a really nice spike there. Obviously going to do the same for Netflix. Hopefully somewhat does. Netflix comes back down again. We start holding above this 334 here. I'm in 200 and my stop loss is about 80. So we do finally get underneath this 334 here. Gets bought back up right away. Starting to hold above it. Making a nice triangle really close to the new trend line here. And then the SPY, this is where things got started getting switched up. So for this entire trade, the SPY has been Netflix has been following the SPY until now. So the SPY just had a little trap trader scenario where it's going lower here, but Netflix has some strength in it here. So that's telling me that I'm still in a good scenario, regardless of what the SPY is doing, because what Netflix does is more important than what the SPY does. Not to say that the SPY doing whatever isn't important, but need to focus on the chart that I'm actually trading. So at this point, we're getting a really nice move here in Netflix while the SPY is dropping. And that kind of tells me that it's the same with that BABA trade. You know, if the SPY is dropping, you know, these FANG stocks should be dropping with it like they initially would be. So I'm looking to get out here. And again, you know, if the SPY turns around and starts moving higher or whatever, if it sets up again just like BABA did, where it started holding above the whole number, fine, get it back in and ride the trend if there is one. But because of what the SPY is doing right now, you know, it's just breaking out down underneath this range. I'm just looking to get all out here and looking to add in on any other kind of confirmation, because this push could easily just fail here. I mean, it's a FANG stock. FANG stocks are more often than not always influenced by the SPY. So if the SPY is just absolutely getting hammered, you know, these strong pushes on Netflix won't be that strong, because there's going to be a bunch of people that are talking about the same thing I'm doing, and they're just going to be looking at Netflix like it's a potential trap. I don't need to watch Intel because I didn't take it. Tesla was a really annoying one too, because it came up above VWAP after a huge run up just like this, coming back to VWAP, holding above this 292. I just don't think I got filled on it. I mean, it held it so nicely. Try to get filled just a little too slow. Just too slow. I think one thing that I wrote down to try and work on here is to just, especially on Netflix, Nvidia, these stocks where I have to try and use a limit order because I don't want to pay the spread, just do it. Just pay the spread only on 50 shares and just try and get into the trade, because, you know, there's this situation right here where my great chance for a really good entry is just gone, just like that. Ended up making a really nice move. So Netflix, unfortunately, did do exactly what I should have done. Came right back to 335. Oh, come on. took off. Previous resistance becomes support. Boom. Just blasted off. The only thing is I don't really see where I could have gotten in this and still respect my rules. I mean, I'd be kind of chasing in front. You know, usually I look for two attempts around a level before I decide anything, and this just goes one and then takes off. It's just kind of like that Tesla. It just goes one and takes off. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll keep track of in the future too. So let's see. What hurt my trading the most this week? It didn't really seem to be one specific thing, rather just a big combination of things like I made. What did I say on this one? Exiting when I should have held, so there's... you know what, actually, I think the thing that hurt my trading the most this week is just not re-entering a trade. I mean, that clear win here on Baba and Netflix, the SPY, you know, I guess greed clouded my thought process, and I just took a bigger loss than I wanted to. Not pay attention at the right time, not respecting warning signs after failed breakdowns, FOMO, I guess. The Nvidia might have just been one that I just needed to take, really. I put on the SPY trades. The SPY was just, yeah, again, not respecting the warning signs. MKC was just a flat out bad trade. What are these ones? It's like the UTX and SYF. Let's see, SYF. What was SYF? That's Johnson Johnson. So the UTX was just not letting it run far enough. And the SYF, yeah, just not getting out when I should have gotten out. So I'm gonna have to type those up and then write the report. I already got a little report going. I just got things to fill in right now that I'll be doing, but I'll be linking this on a Twitter post in the video, so if you have made it this far in the video, click on that. I'll have more that I'm typing about, I'm sure, that I didn't talk about just now. I mean, this thing will probably end up turning into at least 2 pages. So that's all I got for now. I gotta collect my thoughts here. It wasn't a super terrible week. I mean, maybe there's some improvement in there, but obviously those small mistakes are just gonna keep killing my trading until I completely fix it. So plenty to work on, just need to recognize it, adapt, do better next time. So thanks for watching, be back tomorrow.